What's up guys, T Croc here, welcome to the vlog. Like the previous video, when I saw the oil leak, I was pretty sure it was from the valve cover. The gasket's brand new, so I know it wasn't the gasket itself. I just think I didn't tighten it enough. So if you didn't know, you can over tighten the valve cover and it'll leak, and you cannot tighten it enough and it'll leak. So you got to find that sweet spot to so it'll actually seal correctly. So basically took the intake manifold off, and just went around and just seen which ones were sort of loose. One or two bolts were loose, so I just tightened those back up, and then I went back around and tried to tighten them. I know a lot of people say just torque it to manual settings, but if you try to torque to manual settings, it still leaks, in my opinion. And that's just from my experience, so that's why I don't do it that way. Since the intake manifold was off, I've taken it off many a time, so I actually replaced the gasket for the intake manifold. Now, since I have the 3.8 upper intake manifold, you have to use like a 3.5, a bigger one, gasket. You can't use a 3.0 because then you'll leak. So ended up replacing that, started the car up, made sure it ran good, everything ran fine. It actually sounded a lot better. It didn't sound like it was leaking. I think because the intake manifold has been off, on and off so many times, that the gasket wasn't sealing properly. So now that that's out the way, moving to the inside of the car, actually headed to the shop right now because doing a little bit of reading about, you know, racing harnesses and safety and all that good stuff. And apparently, I think my harness that goes over my strap, or over my shoulder, is a little bit too high. The seat's sitting up too high. So the angle is supposed to be less than 10 degrees. So when I get to the shop, I'll explain that. And I'm just gonna fix that. I'm probably gonna lower the seat a little bit more. Hopefully I have enough clearance to lower it. If not, we'll just have to figure out a situation. But that's it. I'll see you guys at the shop.
So see this wild angle? Like this should be from 0 to 10, and it's supposed to be from this mount to here. So it's probably a good, looks like a good 30 degrees or so. If I mounted it right here, it says the angle's about 20, which isn't that bad, but we need 10. So we're going to try. These are adjustable right here. Actually, hold on, let me sound the light. You see the notches right there? So I'm gonna see if I can lower it one notch, and that should give me the 10 degrees that I need. So let me see if I can unbolt it and then move it down some. So I'm currently not able to lower the seat because there is a bolt right there, that a nut and bolt that actually bolts my my seat rail. That's in the way for me to lower it down for one more. So I'm gonna see if I can remove the whole seat and see if I can get it to sit down. If not, I will have to probably make another racing bracket for the seat, future mod. I kind of measured it again, and it's like 15 degrees to 20 degrees, and this is just all for safety. It's not something that they will fail me for tech, but you know, I just want to be super safe. So I'm gonna see if I can remove the seat and move it around later on this week. But right now I'm gonna move on to other things. Last order of business, since basically everything is gone in the interior, I don't need to worry about, you know, things flying around. The only thing that majorly concerns me is this right here. I don't want this to like slide over, so I'm just gonna clean up the wiring and then tie it to the shifter cables. That way, if it does try to slide, it's not gonna go in the way of my foot pedal. Also, this turbo timer, I was using it as a volt gauge. I'm gonna take it out. It doesn't even work that well anymore. The volt gauge, it won't even go to the volt gauge anymore, so it's time to remove it. It's just in the way. So I'm gonna take that out. I'm actually probably gonna keep the harness in line because it's actually the turbo timers for a 2G Eclipse, and they share the same ignition harness, and I actually use that extra harness to like tap in for power and stuff like that. So that'll probably stay in line.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for the car itself. I actually sat in the seat, and just measured the angle that way, and I'm in the 10 degree range of safety. So I don't think I'm gonna worry about the seat. I might have Justin take a measurement for me while I'm sitting in the seat, and he'll tell me if it's good or not while I check the car. But I think, in my opinion, I've went through fluids and everything. I went to this car head to toe, that I think the car is okay for me to send it over to Justin. I'm not gonna do it next week. I think I'm gonna do it the following week, because my goal was to have it ready at the end of the month, so I'm gonna stick with that. The only issue I didn't take care of was the wideband wire that was kind of hanging a little low. I still haven't figured out a solution of, I don't want to drill back into the car, so I'm still trying to think of a solution of how to, you know, secure that a little bit better. But other than that, the car is ready, in my opinion. Of course, I believe Justin might find a couple of things that I might need to take care of, but I've went through the list myself, and I checked the car myself, so I believe it's ready. There's a few other things that I want to talk about in this video. Mainly, just to let you guys know, I sent my harness, my Hans, off to get recertified. I'm gonna explain that in another clip. This is my Hans. I went over it in a previous video last year, but basically your harness goes over here, and then these tethers attach to the helmet, and if you get into an impact, it basically protects your neck because these tethers are attached to the helmet. So like when you lurch forward, it won't snap your neck, you won't get whiplash. So the rule is every 5 years it has to be replaced. So this was June 2015, so technically it would expire June 2020, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it out of the way, because if you try to send it during race season, it takes a lot longer. So all you have to do is you fill out one of these forms. You can go to the Hans website, and they give you a list. I'm just gonna send it to Simpson since that's a big company, and you fill out this, and they basically go through it and make sure it's okay. They probably will replace the pads, and then these tethers, even though they look like they're in good condition, they'll probably look them over and tell me any kind of recommendations. And they tell you right here, like level 1, level 2, level 3. So I'm hoping to get away with a level 1, but I don't care if they have to replace the tethers. If they have to replace the tethers, it's just another $20. So I'm gonna go ahead and package this up, and I'm gonna send it off, and it should be back in like a couple weeks. I forgot to mention before I package this up, a Hans isn't needed for HPD. It's actually good to have. If you're like, let's say you're running like regular seatbelts, then you're not going to be able to run a Hans. But if you have like a 4-point or like a 5-point harness, then I would highly recommend running a Hans. It's kind of pricey, but you need it to run for time attack. And the reason why I'm getting it certified is because I compete in time attack, and I'm competing in Chump Car and various other ones where Hans is required. But let's see, if I went to autocrossing doesn't require a Hans. So it's just something that's good to have if you're going to be doing wheel-to-wheel racing or anything that's going to be higher speeds. I will say the Hans does limit, like when you put these tethers on, it does limit the way you turn your head. You won't be able to do full turns because the Hans is supposed to keep your head's pretty much neutral. You can basically you can turn a little bit, but you're not going to be able to turn completely around, because think about it, you're going to be strapped into your harness and you're not going to be able to move. So you can just turn your head slightly a little bit just to see what's on both sides of you. So hopefully that comes back in a week or so, and that will be out the way, and that's another task that I need to get done. But like I said, car's ready. So I'm just gonna probably do a good look over next week, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm not gonna video that. Instead, I'm going to do a video about tuning, because the guy who tuned my car, who is a very good friend of mine, is getting back into tuning. He's on the forum. He's been tuning for a long time. He decided to take a break from it because the sales weren't, they weren't there anymore, and he just wasn't making any money. So I'm going to do a video on that, and I'm going to go over all the details for, certain guys who are looking for tunes, and you'll have everything that you need to know before you go to him. So that's one thing I wanted to say in this video. I'm gonna get that out the way. That's gonna be next week's video. Another video that will be coming up is I will be going over supercharging a car. I've had a lot of requests, so I won't have a supercharger on hand, but I really don't need it on hand. I have pictures of when I did my build, so I'll just use those, and I'll explain that just like I did the turbocharging video. I'll do one for supercharging. Now, to answer a lot of questions about classing a car, I'm going to go over that in a little bit. Kind of not in full detail, but I want to give you guys a quick overview of, like, when I say I can't do something, or you guys suggest I should do this, there's a reason behind the method and why I can't do it. So I'm going to show you guys. It's going to be like a screen recording through my cell phone, so you can, because there's like an app where I can show you how the classing works. So let's get to that.
Okay, so this is the NASA Super Touring Time Trial Calculator. It basically will tell you what you need to make in weight or how much power you need to make as well. So since we're going to do ST5, TT5, you click there, and then it brings down this menu, and it asks for the minimum competition weight of the car and driver. So since I'm going to be shooting for 2,700 pounds and I weigh 180 pounds, let's just put 2880, and the weight factor comes in 0. So, and then it tells you that you can only make 205 horsepower, which is okay. Let's just go back and let's just say, all right, I made less weight. So we did 28. Let's just do 2080. Okay. It says 197 now. So the less weight you have, the less power you can make, and vice versa, the other way around. So let's go back to our original weight. 880. And the cool thing about this, it actually gives you a recommendation that, okay, you can actually lose 10 more pounds. So I could either lose 10 more pounds myself or find 10 more pounds to get out of the car. And let's go to tires. Now, tires, they go into basically, if you do like an extreme summer tire, like Hankook RS3s, RS4s, BFG Rivals, Falcon and Zennies, the list goes on. And you can also wear a slick as well. So since we are going to be doing that, and it has 100 tread wear or greater, we are, so let's click that. Non-OEM brakes or relocated brake calipers, anything like that. The good thing is the Evo 8 brakes are technically OEM. So it's kind of a cheeky way to bypass this and actually get a good brake upgrade. So we don't have to click that. Suspension, we don't have an A-arm wishbone. We actually have a McPherson type setup. So we don't have to worry about that. Replace modify control arms. Technically we did, because we replaced the rear trailing arms and the Megan Racing tow arms, the rear tow arms as well. So we have to click that. This is why I was saying in the other video that I want to go back to OEM, because that's a negative 0.5 factor right there. So I could actually use those points somewhere else. Replace, modify Watkins. Now that doesn't have anything to do with us. Non-metallic OEM. So since we have the Megan Racing ones and they have spherical bushings, we have to click this. And that is a negative 0.2 point as well. So right now I have negative 0.7 factor, which I could use that somewhere else. For example, where it says non-OEM struts, external reservoirs, I could actually use the BC coilers that I have the option to upgrade to an external reservoir. That's the extra canister you see on some cars, like track cars, and it just gives you better rebound effects. So I could actually use that towards this, but I can't because I just used some of my points for the tow arms. So that's one reason why I want to actually go back to OEM. So we can't use those. And like the more points you have, the higher it bumps you up class. So you're not trying to get as many points, you know what I'm saying? For K's, penetrates firewall. Mine does not. It actually terminates before the firewall. If I had to build a cage again, I probably would do that because I heard that it does stiffen the chassis up a lot more. And they said it does protect the driver more during a crash. So for safety and for extra stiffening, it would probably be a good benefit. But I didn't know that until after I built the cage and just did some more research. So that was my fault. Single flat horizontal splitter. Now I do plan on running a splitter. I just haven't built it yet. So let's just click it just for the sake of it, because I am going to do it. BTM arrow, that's base model trim arrow. The 3G Eclipse does not have any kind of base model trim arrow, so we don't have to worry about that. Modifications to the OEM roof, nothing for us. Floor plan, nothing for us. Paddle shift sequential. Now we don't have that, so we don't have to worry about that. Now here's a good factor right here. When it talks about drivetrain, we actually get a 0.6 points added to us because the front wheel drive, it is a handicap. So they try to make this very fair, because rear wheel drive and all wheel drive will dominate a front wheel drive car unless rain is a factor. So they do try to cater to front wheel drive cars. They want to make it even across the board. That's why the power to weight ratio is the way NASA does it. And that's why I like it. I like that a lot. So with all those points, they might have tweaked our weight a little bit, which they didn't. They didn't touch it at all. We're still at a 0 mod point factor. So let's just say I did add, where is it at? The external reservoirs. It might, because that's a 0.7 factor. See, now I'm at negative 0.7. So let's just say, so now it wants us to make 195 instead of 210. So, which I could do. I could probably tune the car and not put it into a serious kill mode tune and still run like this. But you also have to remember, I'm competing against S2000 M3s and modified Civics. Now the S2000s are lightly modified, so I probably will have more torque, but they might have a little bit more horsepower, and their power band is insane. So on a good straightaway, they probably are going. Sorry about that. The video actually cut off. When my phone goes to sleep, it ends the video. So let's just say, like I was talking about the S2000, it does have a huge power band advantage. So on a good straight, it'll probably catch up. But I do have more down low torque. So I'm going to have to drive my ass off. And this is for the M3s and all the other cars out there as well. But like I said, it puts it in a very fair playground. I think I might be able to bring up a previous car. Let's just hopefully, hold on. I'm going to see if I can bring up a previous car. So give me 1 second. So here's the ST5 competitor. His minimum weight was 3,000 pounds, right? And he made 214 horsepower. Now I believe he has a Porsche. Yeah, Porsche Boxster. So just think about it that way. Like that's going to be in one of the playing fields. Let's see if I can find another ST5. Here's the ST5 car as well. 2790, 205, and this was a BMW 330. Let's see if I can find another car. Shane Sparks, I think he was a S2000. No, actually, he's someone else. He's very light. 2,300 pounds, 158. What? A Porsche 914. I thought he was the S2000. 2,300 pounds. 138 horsepower, Mazda Miata. Don't let the Mazda Miata fool you. He can go flat out on pretty much every single turn. So that's actually a pretty decent car. 2,900 pounds, BMW. It's like I said, BMW heavy. I haven't ran into any S2000s so far. But unless a lot of guys haven't submitted their cars yet, yeah, it's very BMW heavy right now. So that's just to give you a good idea of like what these cars are. So when people ask me about classing and stuff like that, that's what I'm going off. And you can class your car if you want. Like I said, this is just NASA. SCCA does it totally different. And a lot of the other leagues do it totally different. But I just think power to weight ratio is the way to go. It evens out, and plus NASA honors front wheel drive cars as well, which is pretty cool. So that's it, guys. Like I said, next week I'm going to do a video on tuning
to just get that out there, because I know a lot of guys are looking for tunes. So I will do sort of like a how-to of what you need and all those factors. So that's it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.